Hi, and welcome to this quick Tableau training. Today we're going to be talking about all the file types that come from Tableau. If you want to follow along, go ahead. We've got the sample superstore data source similar to before. Let's dig in. Let's save the file. Save as, and I'm going to call it book 2. And now we've got 2 different workbooks in this folder here. So if you want to follow along, generate a folder and throw those workbooks in there. Now let's talk about what has been generated. The file type is the Tableau workbook. Now what if we save it as a TWBX? And this is a packaged workbook. So we'll click save and we'll see that render here. Awesome. Now check it out. Tableau packaged workbook. It's a little bit bigger and also it is TWBX, TWBX. Book 2 and book 1, these are TWB, TWIB. Now I want to show you something really cool about TWIBs. You can take your TWIB and turn it into XML and just click yes. Now this is now an XML file and you can edit it just like any other XML file. Now I want to talk about what that means really quickly to a TWBX. So again, if you missed that part, we can do some of those things, export packaged workbook and also the save as, and that gives us 2 different options. So to save it as a TWB, what that is doing is not packaging it like the TWBX. Package means it's bringing over files that have been used, data sources, extracts, those types of things. Now, I want to show you how to access it similar to your XML file. You just click it, add zip at the end, hit enter. Yes is great. Double click it. Now look what's in here. Notice we have a TWB file, which is XML. So if you needed to do something programmatically and you wanted to automatically change something within the XML file, now you know how to get there. And if it's a TWBX, which is a package workbook, which is typical because it could have images in there, which would be similar to this data folder, but it would say image. And your data folder has what? Your XLS file, which is super cool. Now, whenever we send this to anyone, we're not only sending the files like your images that you're using. Let's say you use some sort of submit button inside of Tableau that has been designed in Figma. Let's call it an SVG. That file would then live within a directory that would be right here. Today, we have a blank workbook, so you're not going to see that in there today. Now, we can go and grab an image. So we'll take this image that's above the folder A right here. And what we'll do is we'll put it in the workbook and we'll see how it lands inside of this folder structure. So let's go ahead and hit escape. And what I want to do is create a dashboard with an image and you just drag it out there. And I'll take that file and put it in that folder and then refresh. There we go. Hey, look at that. And then we will fit the image, center the image, and click OK. Very cool. And we can save this. Yeah, let's save it back to that A folder. And we will call this TWBX 3. Now let's go back to our A. And we can see we have that TWBX, TWBX. And again, they do say TWBX. I'm not just making that up. In TWIB, they do say TWIB. It's not just TWB. People really say TWIB. And XML, there's not a one for that. All right. So let's dig into this folder and notice your image is sitting right there. Now this can be very beneficial if you're using a lot of icons and buttons or just pictures of yourself. That's always fun. So that is where the file is packaged inside of this workbook. And if you need to access the TWB, well, it's right there. And you would just turn that into an XML file if you're doing some sort of automation. Now let's wrap up by talking about the TDE file. Now, whenever we look at this data, notice it's an XLS because we're live connecting to this file. And I want to point out what happens when you extract the data. So we'll just say extract. Okay, now Right here, you can see that the icon is a little different. Now this is the icon for extract. We'll just switch back to live, extract again. So we're using the extract. So let's save it. And what we'll do is we'll put it here inside of A, and then we'll look and see what else we can play with. So book 4, there it is. And remember, we can click to rename it. It's a click and then another click. If you're on Windows, I think it's the same on Mac though. Who knows? So zip, click yes. We'll double click to open it and click on data, and notice that the file is now a .hyper. So .tde, that was the previous Tableau data extract. Hyper is a new version of a Tableau extract, so it has a different file extension. So now that you know a little bit about hypers and TDE, which is the previous Tableau data extract, and the TWB files, which can also be found inside of the TWBX once you turn it into a zip, which is then located here. You learned about where these images go within the directories. So if you needed to swap out the file, maybe automatically across 100 different TWBXs, this is exactly where you would want to start generating your solution. First, it would be swapping TWBX to zip, then opening the image directory, replacing this file using the exact same naming conditions as the file name. Otherwise, it will break unless you're automatically changing it in the XML. However, I don't recommend doing that. I'd recommend just keeping your file names really simple. And that is pretty much it. Now let's back out a little bit. Now you know how to do the automation within the Twibix, and check this out. Even if you're not building some sort of sophisticated solution that is automatically changing things in XML or automatically changing the images or data files, if you're not doing that stuff, that is okay. You know what's interesting though, is I still find myself needing to go into these folders, even if I'm not automatically trying to replace and move things around. So it's really beneficial to know where these things are, especially if you're looking to automatically do it in the future, which is merely a skill gap. And you are starting to work that direction by learning this information. Let's jump back to A where we're already in it. Closing out, before we go, I want to show you the Tableau help documentation. It's public facing, it's extremely helpful. I use this information a lot to help me with the material that I'm creating because I want to try to say the exact same things that Tableau help is also using. So we'll start from the top as a reminder of what we just learned. .twib or TWB, .tbm. This is something that we're not going to cover because I don't see anybody using it. Package workbooks, .twbx, and that's the packaging of the TWB, the data files, the images, and everything that goes along with that workbook. It's all packaged together. So know if you're sending a package workbook to somebody, you don't have to share the data as well. It's actually really good to know the difference between TWB and TWBX, which is TWIB or TWIBX, because if you don't know that, you'll be sending people a TWIB and that won't give them access to the data if that file lives on your computer, or maybe it lives on a directory that only you have access to. Then we'll look at extract. Extract is .hyper, .tde. Again, .tde is your older Tableau installations. They should be upgrading so they can access the .hyper files, which is a faster Tableau extract. TDS, this is something that I don't see a lot of people passing around. However, it's used a little bit more than I would say the TBM, which I've never seen anybody use TBM. But TDS is, I would say, just a little bit more utilized. So it is good to know a little bit about what it is. However, you can go your whole life without ever using it and be an extremely advanced Tableau user. TDS is a file type of shortcut that allows you to access the Tableau data sources that you are consistently accessing. And last but not least, TDSX, which is a packaged data source. Here's the thing. TDS and .tdsx. Both of these, I don't really see people using them that much. It's a very small percentage. So if you want to learn more, I will leave a link in the description so you can dig into the Tableau help documentation as well. Now that you know a lot about different file types and the folder structures and even how to hack into these files and change things, I'm really excited to see the things that you're going to build. Have a good day.